Good evening, good evening. So I hope you're well today. What have you been up to? Let me know. So first off, welcome. So live revision training for you today, and we have 4 awesome knowledge bombs for you. One of them is definitely level 2 and level 3 anatomy. 3 of them are nutrition based, and I'm sure if you have any questions as well, there will be much more knowledge bombs I can share with you as well. So it's all about getting you ready, getting you prepared, but really it's a case of seeing who's online first. So join me. Who have we got? Please say hi. Put a little hi in the comments box and I know who we've got. So I know some of you are with us for the revision mastery, some of you are doing your exercise referral at the moment, some of you don't actually train with us at the moment, and that's fine too. You are more than welcome. So please do pop in a little comment so I know that you're watching. Put in a little hi. That would be grand. And if you want to say what a wonderful day you're having, then that's good too. So the sun is definitely shining, which I like. After all the rain over last night, I like having a bit of sunshine. So, before we get going and I get kick-started, I'm just going to wait to see if a few more join us. So I've done these as mock questions, and these 4 knowledge bombs are taken and changed and tweaked slightly from some existing exams, and that's because there are areas that people get stuck on or there are areas that people get wrong. Now, I thought of these today when I was actually marking some exams, so I've marked a couple of exams today, some in level 2, some in level 3, and I thought, well, what are the common areas that people are messing up on or not getting correct? Sometimes that comes down to reading the question, and sometimes it comes down to just whether we know it or not, whether it's something that you feel that you know, content-wise, it's actually in your head. So there's these several different levels where people are at. First off, you might get, and the reasons why people might get a question wrong in an exam, the main reason why is some people just don't know the content, or they don't know how to file that content. Now that just means that you've been taught it somewhere along the line, maybe in a classroom, maybe from your book, but you've not put it in the right bit of your filing cabinet. And because it's not in the right bit of your filing cabinet, it's hard to retrieve when you then need to, which essentially shows up as not knowing. So that's the first part, is the content, not being totally aware of the content or being happy with how to retrieve that information. Second part is about the question wording. So if the wording was really terrible or complicated, what you might do in that whole sort of effect of things. So if it's very complicated wording, that can throw a lot of people in. It's probably the second reason why people don't get it. And the third reason is that people generally are whizzing through things way too quickly, and they don't think about what is needed or what the question is actually asking. We had an example of this the other night on Facebook Live revision that we did, and it was all about when you lose muscle mass or as you get older. But everybody read it as bone mass and instantly put osteoporosis rather than sarcopenia. So that's a typical thing whereby you jump to conclusions or you assume things a little bit too quick. So those of you that are watching, before I get into these knowledge bombs, let me know who I've got. Please say hi. Don't make me feel like I'm just sat here all on my own, or give me a couple of little thumbs up if you're with me as well. That would be good too. A couple of likes will make sure that I know I'm not just sat here on my own chatting away to myself. If you are watching the recording, feel free to fast forward probably about another minute or so, and then you'll be able to hit into the real content. If you are, and also if you're in the recording, please do also respond to all these questions as they come in. So it's not just done for those that are live, it's also really important if you are watching the recording too. That's why we do it. So I've chosen kind of just after 6ish tonight, because that's when most of you are generally saying you're available, ready to chat. So please do pop in those comments. I would love lots of questions as we head on through as well. So put in your answers, playful out, and also any sort of other questions that you've got, revision based, training clients, nutrition stuff, whatever it might be. Are you ready? Okay, number 1 of the 4 knowledge bombs. Let's do this. So this one is actually based on a level 2 anatomy and physiology question, and you'll be surprised it's level 2 based on the wording of it. So this falls into that sort of second bit. In the wording can make you feel like you don't know the question. So are you ready? You ready? Okay. So this is the question. So during respiration, where does oxygen diffuse to? Is it A, alveoli, B, capillaries, C, heart, or D, muscles? So what I want you to do is literally pop your answer down in the chat box. So pop in your comment and guess. If you don't know it, then guess it. Please, please, please do. So during respiration, where does oxygen diffuse to? Is it A, alveoli, B, capillaries, C, heart, and D, muscles? Pop in a little comment, let me know. So the reason why people often get this wrong or they confuse matters is because you've got a couple of parts to this and how it's worded. So if you've got during respiration, so we know it's to do with breathing, we know it's to do with the lungs somewhere, where does oxygen diffuse to? So if we're talking about oxygen, so we're already saying lungs again, and then we're talking about diffusion. Now, if you know about gaseous exchange, you know that diffusion happens between the alveoli and the capillaries. Now that's a bit confusing. So you're already going, well, it's probably not heart and muscles, but I think it's probably going to be one of these. Now, how do you choose between them? I'll be interested in who chose what anyway, so pop those comments in. Give us a little thumbs up if you're still with me as well. But how do you choose between going for the alveoli or going for the capillaries? So I'm going to give you away the answer in a second as well. During respiration, where does oxygen diffuse to? So the answer is capillaries, and that's because it's about the route that the oxygen takes, and listening to that wording of that question. So it literally says, where does oxygen diffuse to? It's not saying diffuse from, it's asking where does it diffuse to? Where's it going to? And that's what you need to sort of understand with it. It's this to is the action word that they want you to understand. Where is it going on to as part of this respiration? Now, it starts in the alveoli and it goes through to the capillaries. So I'm going to draw you something. Draw you a little something. So if you were to draw out an alveoli and a capillary and how they relate to each other, bear with me. Making you wait for your answers tonight. Awesome. Okay, so in here, alveoli is this like bulbous shape in here, and then the capillary goes all the way around the outside. So if you've got that in here, and you know that that's what's happening with the alveoli, then when oxygen comes in, oxygen obviously comes in from our nose and mouth, goes all the way down through and then into our bronchus, our bronchioles, and then off into alveoli. So from here goes into the alveoli. So the oxygen comes in, and then that oxygen, that little bubble of oxygen, has to now diffuse into the capillaries, and that's what it's asking you. So where does the oxygen diffuse to? So it's going from here, from the alveoli into the capillaries, so the answer is capillaries. However, if it asked where does the carbon dioxide diffuse to, the carbon dioxide starts in the capillaries, obviously, because it's on the return phase. This is quite a tricky one for level 2, I think. I think people sometimes underestimate what they're going to put in there for level 2. But carbon dioxide, if you think about it, starts in the capillaries and it's diffuse to. What it's asking you is where's it going to go from the capillaries? It's going to go from the capillaries into the alveoli. So on that question that we had, there we go. So during respiration, where does oxygen diffuse to? It's because it's oxygen, it has to be to the capillaries because it comes from the alveoli and diffuses into the capillaries. If it was talking about carbon dioxide, then it could be alveoli, whereby it goes from the capillaries into the alveoli. Now, if anybody else is with me on that one, it's a complicated wording for a level 2 question. So you, by all means, are allowed to find that one a bit tricky. And some people suggest that sort of in relation to some of these questions for level 2, it's maybe a little bit too hard in terms of playing with the wording, but they are well within their rights to test your knowledge and know the sequence of events. It just comes down to understanding that wording. Like I said, it's the second reason, biggest reason why people don't get the questions right on exam day. So this one, level 2 anatomy, but all about wording really. And now we've also had an explore of alveoli and capillaries, just to match that one in there. Okay, are you ready to go a little bit more nutrition now? So, in fact, even if you're not working towards your exam, this is quite a good, useful one, because nutrition and facts and understanding all the ins and outs and all of the myths that our clients come to us with, quite a few of those. So actually, this one is kind of useful for everybody. And I think it's a pretty tricky one again. So, what term is not covered by legislation and can be used in any context? Is it A, diet, B, low fat, C, low calorie, or D, fat free? So, you choose. What do you think it is? A, B, C, or D? What term is not covered by legislation? So it's basically asking that there is a series of different terms and terminology, but which of those cannot be can be used freely? So which of those can be used very freely amongst those that are selling products in relation to nutrition or food-based products? So can they use diet? Can they use low fat? Can they use low calorie? Or can they use fat free? This also suggests that the other three have legislation attached, which means you have to meet certain standards or certain parameters in order to use that terminology. So pop in your answers. Let me see them. Pop in those comments. And as you're popping in those comments, I'd also love you to just pop in a couple of thumbs up. Let me know you can hear and see me okay as well. That's always good. Put a couple of thumbs up. Let me know that this is on track with what you want. So Jackie, I know that your level 3 nutrition is literally around the corner. So I'm expecting you to be great on doing these as well as we go through them. So what have we got? So there are a few answers coming in. So I've got YouTube and Facebook going on as well tonight. So as I look at them, there's a couple of answers coming in. And to be honest, I don't think we've got any right so far. So don't feel bad if on whatever you've put, and people are putting lots of different answers in there. That's okay too. So please do pop in your question. Doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. I really don't mind. So the answer is low fat. So low fat, essentially, they can, with all three other things that are on here, they must adhere to a certain standard. So in order to be diet, it has to be a certain low on calories or lower on sugar. Then low calorie has to actually be a lower calorie option than their previous product that they had in that range. So it's about comparing to a previous similar product. Fat free genuinely needs to not have any fat in it. However, there is no parameter set, there is no legislation set for low fat. So when your client comes to you and they say, but it's healthy because it says it's low fat, it could actually be very high in fat, and the food production would still have no parameters in or legislation against them in putting that in for low fat. So they could actually write on the packaging that it's a low fat biscuit and actually have quite a lot of fat within it. Because there is no legislation there, then they are perfectly within their rights to do so. So not very reassuring, I suppose, for our clients or for us. But that's about educating your clients on these types of things. And that's why this type of knowledge isn't just about what happens on exam day or preparing you for guessing what the exam is going to tell you, but also preparing yourself and your clients ready for when you actually have to make sense of things and sense of nutrition and sense of what's going on in the supermarkets and everything else in between. Fab. Okay, so on that one I had a couple of answers. A couple of people were saying diet, not diet, definitely low fat. Okay, there we go. So, are you ready for the next one? Number 3. Again, we're sticking with a bit more nutrition. I think this one's a bit easier. Are you ready? A bit easier. Sticking with nutrition. So, which vitamins have antioxidant properties? Are they vitamins D and K, vitamins A, C and E, vitamins A, D, E and K, or D iron? Ha! All these A, B, C's and D's and then all the A's and D's and whatever within it. A little bit confusing, but we've got it written down, so it should be fab and nice and straightforward for you. Which vitamins have antioxidant properties? So we're talking about the main ones that are classed as antioxidant vitamins. Now you might be able to do a little bit of a jiggle on this. So again, it comes down to reading the question and not jumping to a conclusion. Now there would be two particular mistakes that somebody might make on a question like this. First off, the first type of mistake that they might make is that they jump to a conclusion that says that, sorry, they don't read the question. So the first mistake is that they don't read the question properly, and it says vitamins up here. So because it's vitamins, you can already discount iron, which is actually a mineral. So even if you didn't know about what has antioxidant properties, you should be able to already discount iron. Perfect. Okay. Next side of it is that the other thing that people do is they jump to conclusions. So they see the word vitamins and then they see a trend that they've remembered from somewhere. Usually in this case they'll write ADEC. They'll literally write ADEC down because they know that this little group of letters, this group of vitamins, they were told that they had to remember it, and for some reason it's stuck in their head because it was an easy way of remembering it. Now, ADEC is our fat-soluble vitamins. It's actually nothing to do with the antioxidant properties. Two of them do cross over. So, then you've got vitamin A, D, E, and K. They are the fat-soluble vitamins that you need to remember, but they are not the ones that you need to know for antioxidant properties. So, antioxidant vitamins are ACE, A, C, and E. So, the thing to remember with that is that ACE obviously means that something's very good or the best of, or very fantastic, however you want to phrase it. It's a very positive comment, isn't it, for something to be ACE? A bit American, but so something to be ACE. And then antioxidant properties. Antioxidants are the ones that that have a huge power in our body, especially against free radical damage in our body. So they're the ones that are going to protect us from things like illnesses, cancers, and other diseases as well. So it's about making sure that you have a link in your brain between antioxidant and then these ACE chemicals and these ACE vitamins and how they have antioxidant properties within them. So A, C, and E is your answer, which is, ironically, answer B. So I can see a couple of little giggles coming across on YouTube in particular, but if you guys want to pop in a little comment, let me know how you got on. If you got it wrong, you can give me an angry face, that's fine too. Let me know how things are going. Okay, so final one for tonight, and then I'll answer. Obviously, any questions you've got, please do pop them in. In fact, do you want to start putting those questions in now? And then as we go through, I'll then be able to answer them at the very end of this last question, this last little question. Fab. Okay. Final one, again, nutrition based, and I think, again, a little bit easier. I think I started with the hardest ones earlier, don't you? Okay, so try and work out where I've got to be. There we go. Okay, so what type of fat lowers LDL cholesterol and plasma triglycerides? So it's asking you about LDL cholesterol and plasma triglycerides, and then the question, the bit that people are going to get stuck on, or that people have been getting stuck on, is the bit that lowers it. That's what we're looking for. Now, most people don't associate any of the fats as lowering LDL cholesterol or plasma triglycerides. So instead, they panic and they go, well, all of these are fats. It must be talking about what increases cholesterol in our body. But actually, there is one very magic, well, there's two actually, but one on here that is very magic at being able to lower our LDL cholesterol. Now, if you've done one of these before with me, you'll know that an LDL stands for litterbug. So they're the ones that drop the cholesterol everywhere. and they're basically the bad cholesterol. So they sit there and they drop all this plaque and these fatty deposits all over the inside of our arteries, but it's the HDLs that are the helpful ones that go around, pick it all back up again and transport it and get rid of it in our body. So that's a really important one to remember. LDLs are litter bugs, HDLs are happy to help. So which ones of these is essentially a good fat? That's what it's asking you, because it's going to lower the bad cholesterol, so it must be a good fat in inverted commas. Now, I use inverted commas because it's not black and white, but make sure I get these answers in here, so pop those answers down. Is it A, saturated fat, B, trans fat, C, hydrogenated fat, or D, monounsaturated fat? So when you're going through it, you might have a little grouping of things that you might do, or you might eliminate, but just have a think, how do you physically answer this question? How do you break it down? Because if you start learning how you do things, or how you break things down, or how you go about answering a question, it's going to help you hugely. And the reason for that is going to help you the most is because you start to understand the inner workings of your own mind. And if you can understand what you're doing, you can then build on those strengths and work out what some of the weaknesses are. So just take a mental note. How did you break it down? So as you go through, if you know about good and bad fats, in inverted commas, then you're already probably eliminating a few of these. So saturated fat is classed as bad because it increases our LDL cholesterol in the body. Now, double the time that saturated fat increases LDLs and sort of plaques and our risk of atherosclerosis, trans fat will do it in double the time. Actually, trans fat is doubly bad. So they kind of are both up there, but trans fat is doubly bad. And then hydrogenated fat is basically within trans fats. So hydrogenated, again, is about something that has been processed, just like with trans fats. It's a hydrogenated fat, like you'd find in margarines, etc., just like trans fat. Which leaves us one left over, monounsaturated fat. Now this is unsaturated, which means that it is, so we've got two of these, mono and a poly. Both of them are very good with helping our helpful HDLs and also reducing our LDLs, which is what that's asking you. So the answer is D. Wow, so I haven't got any questions from you guys tonight, which is very bizarre. So I'm sure you're out having amazing time, and maybe you're just busy learning all these wonderful knowledge bombs that you don't have any questions for me. If you do have any questions, please do pop them in, even if that's in the recording, and I will get to answering them as soon as I possibly can, I promise. Outside of that, they are our 4 knowledge bombs for tonight, and really within that all, it's not just about the knowledge bombs that come with those 4 and those 4 questions and practicing mock questions, because mock questions are key, but it's not just about practicing, it's about noticing how you answer those questions and what do you generally slip up on. So I'm actually going to put in this comments box a link to our level 3 nutrition mock questions. If you've not come across them before, then make sure you go in there. All you've got to do is leave your email and you can download those mock questions. Once you then have downloaded them, my challenge to you is to then work through them and really analyze how you're answering each of those questions the best you can. But when you then come to mark it yourself, on all the ones that you slipped up on, just have all, and I mean you'll have hardly any of course, but when you're at that point and you're reading through it, why did you slip up on that particular exam question? Was it because you didn't know the content? Was it because you like the wording was just rubbish, like it really threw you and you don't understand what they want from you? Or was it number 3, which is about your speed that you done it? Was it just a silly mistake that you made because you kind of hastily ran through it and made assumptions? Evening, Dave. If you have any questions or whatever, then please do pop them in. But lovely to hear a good evening in there. So which of those three are the reasons why you maybe messed up on those particular questions. But you can only do that if you actually give some questions a go. So I've got 50 of them for you, and I will pop those in those comments box now. All you do, like I say, is just download it. So So I pop those in the comments box, help yourself to them, and let me know how you get on. And then, like I say, go over those three different options. Was it content that you weren't so sure on? Was it the wording of the question? Or was it that you sped through it too quickly? Kind of mix things up a little bit. If you, as soon as you've worked that out, let me know, whether that's on Facebook Messenger, that's fine. On the bottom of one of these videos, that's fine too, because then we can help you with some different strategies off the back of that. That's what things are about, hey? You've got to find out what you do so you can then improve on all the strengths that you have, and you can also improve on all the weaknesses that you have too. So that's what our aim is, and then hopefully you can, well, hopefully, I say of course, you can go into your exam with as much confidence as possible. So if anybody has any comments tonight, then please do pop them in. Any questions? I'm going to wrap it up in the next minute or so, unless you have any particular questions for us. So please do pop them in. And like I said, most of what we've done today was about level 3 nutrition, but not exclusively. So I'm happy to chat about whatever you want on these Facebook Lives. Generally, the only reason that I choose those particular exam questions or the particular subjects that I'm going through is just because people have either asked me that question over email, or it's a trend that I've noticed somewhere that I think will help other people if I can tell you. So that's why I do them. But please do let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to disappear now and enjoy my lovely final part of my evening. I'll leave you to do the same. So have a nice evening. Let me know how you get on with those 50 mock questions. What number did you get out? And also, if you're watching the recording, then make sure you put those answers down and actually follow the mock questions as you went through. Have a lovely evening. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.